clinician, orthopedic surgeon, so my questions will be a little bit different. So the topic here is, I think, innovation ecosystem in our country. So we'll basically talk about what are the problems and what are the opportunities, right? So let me introduce first our people here. So using the technology, I just opened the LinkedIn and I'm introducing them online. So I'm sure you guys have edited it. So Prativa Pandey is a PhD. She's a founder and CEO of Catalyst Technology. She had done her study in Harvard University. Oh, sorry. Okay, it says Harvard. Okay, good. So she had class in Harvard. So let me go down. She's co-founder of Daito Public Service, right? She had done her doctorate PhD in organic chemistry from Northwestern University, right? And she has come back to the country to do something. She's really doing a great job, and she is staying in the country doing here. So next, Mr. Ranjit Kumar Karna. He is Chief of Innovation in ENCEL, if I am not mistaken. That is not written in your LinkedIn, but so technology, strategy, and spectrum expert, analyst, program manager, and then you did your studies in Kathmandu University School of Management also, right? Okay, welcome you in the panel. And you guys must have seen the logo. This program, the major sponsor is also ENCEL. The next is, so from Putung Research Institute, Dr. Ashim Dhakal, right? So I haven't found you on LinkedIn, by the way. How come? So you have got the famous scholarships, the Colombo Plan and Erasmus Mundus, right? And then you did your studies in photonics engineering, PhD, and Master in Science and PhD in both in this, right? And at the moment you are in Putung doing research, good. So, and last but not the least, Basant Giri. He's PhD from University of Wyoming, MS from Oregon State University, BS from our own 3-1 University, and he is at the moment at Kathmandu Institute of Applied Science, also called KIAS, right? And I think he's more interested in enzyme assay, lab on chips, microfluidics, pollution, a lot of different things in the country, right? So I'd like to start with a small story. There are a lot of challenges in the country. Though I practice in Kathmandu, I love to work in rural part of the country. So I have been to Ashim, which is in far west of the country. So if you fly to Nepalganj or Dhangari, you have to travel another 12 to 14 hours by the road, which is not that good. And when you reach there, there is no hospital, not a single health system. So 2008, a group of the people from foreign countries and our own people living there, they started a hospital called Boyalpata Hospital. So that was a great challenge. Nobody believed that it can be done in that part of the country. And to add on that, that is the place where the most HIV positive people live in our country, migrating to India and coming back. So even government never thought that they can do it. So they just let the government hospital, which was already dilapidated, not in use, handed over to them, and they did it. And now we got the best hospital award in that part of the country. And that model works in a private-public partnership. Just like Elena Pradhan mentioned today, that if you let somebody lead it and work together and help that group, maybe you will reach somewhere, right? So by mentioning this, already set an example, I want to pass my mic to Prativa. What are the challenges that you see why after you came back to the country, and what are you doing to overcome that in technology?
Sure, thank you for the question. It's a very good question, and that was one of my first questions when I came back to Nepal as well, that I talked to different researchers working in Nepal, and I asked them the same question saying, why did you come back to Nepal? What are the different kinds of problems you're trying to solve? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the opportunities? And what has been your experience so far, right? So one of the main things that I saw after coming back to Nepal is coming from background in organic chemistry, the resource to do research in organic chemistry, it requires a lot of physical infrastructure, lab, chemicals, and different things. And to have those kind of infrastructure, that's one of the challenges. We have to import everything. And to import everything also, there are a lot of challenges from immigration, from त्यो भन्सारको कस्टम्सदेखि लिएर सबैमा च्यालेन्जेसहरू हुन्छ होइन सो त्यो एउटा भयो अनि त्यो हुँदा हुँदै पनि अर्को चाहिँ another challenge that I saw was lack of multidisciplinary collaboration. There was a lot of interdisciplinary collaboration that was going on, especially in biotechnology and biochemistry field, but I didn't see much going on like pure chemistry and multidisciplinary approach to working on different problems from different fields, right? So when I talk to people from another field like biotechnology, even the researchers, they were not very open to collaboration, to be very honest. That's one of the things that I saw. They were very much comfortable with talking and working with people who talk the same language, who ask the same questions. They were not very comfortable with someone who is talking different scientific language and asking different scientific questions. So those were the two main challenges as a researcher for me. Another challenge was something that you mentioned, lack of public-private partnership. Public-private, I would even say academic, even though it's somewhat public. So public-private academic partnership where researches were not being supported by private sector, and public sector was very much focused on development work, but to do development work, there has to be some research work done too, and there was very less investment or focus on fundamental or basic science sort of research. So those were some of the challenges that I saw, and to tackle some of those challenges, one of the things that I did was I became a research faculty member at one of the institutions, RECAST, Research Center for Applied Science and Technology. It's under TU, and it's supposed to be one of the incubation hubs for science and technology in Nepal, which it is trying to be, but at this point it is not. And that was one of the main reasons why I joined it, because there wasn't much science work being done there, and I felt like that's where I am needed. So that was one of the things that I did, but that was not enough. So I started my own company that started doing research on the same thing, figuring out what the problems on the ground are, and trying to figure out what are the technological interventions, especially from my field, I could do to solve those problems and bring them as business solutions. So one of the examples is I'm looking at medicinal plants of Nepal and trying to bring in products using medicinal plants. It could be as simple as skincare and as complex as nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals. And it takes a long time. That's something I've acknowledged. So those are some of the simple interventions I've done. And another is, no matter how much resistance I see, I try my best to talk to people from different disciplines and collaborate with them. And my main focus is I'm not going to reinvent the wheel and make a lab that is already there in the ecosystem that is underutilized. I try to push other researchers to collaborate and try to share the resources so that we can work collaboratively.
Thank you, Prativa. So that means you have to collaborate, take people together and move together. That's the message, right? So that's the message to the young people. Don't try to do things alone. So that's how I think the research groups in the country come up with the National Nepal Research Alliance, right? So I want to hear something about it from maybe Basantji.
Thank you. Nepal Research Alliance is a loose network of non-governmental or non-profit research organizations in Nepal. And we are trying to kind of lobby with the government to address some of the challenges we face to do scientific research in Nepal. For example, we, Ashim, Dhakal, and myself, I think we agree with Prativa, where she mentioned lack of collaboration, and there is definitely lack of infrastructures, and there's no public-private partnerships. So there are a lot of things. On top of that, there is no policy. If you look at our universities, which are supposed to do basic research, for example, recently, Tribhuvan University announced vacancies for, I think, maybe 50, 60, 70 new faculties. But to be eligible for faculty as an assistant professor in Tribhuvan University, you just need a master's degree. And then when you get appointment, it does not say anything about what are your roles. You just need to teach 12 hours, let's say, per week, and that's it. So how are we going to do research? Let's forget about now the universities. There are a couple of initiatives, some initiatives from the non-governmental sectors in research, and there is no governmental radar to monitor what we are doing here. It does not recognize. Some of the institutions are registered as non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and people or the government officials just know NGOs are only for developmental works. And some institutions are registered as non-profit companies. And both of these types of institutions have to go through the same procedure to get fund and then to do other regulating work. So there is no government policy about the science and the research. Also, there is no funding at all, I would say, in Nepal on regular basis. There is University Grant Commission that gives some funding, but that's only for the universities and very minimal. So I would say almost zero. And we also recognize the lack of law for patents, right, Ashim? And then that's very important when we talk about innovation, technology, all these kinds of things. And also doing research in Nepal is very expensive in terms of the resources. For example, if I want to buy some reagents, not regular reagents, but some specific reagents, I have to buy from US, and there's 3 times more costly than one would buy in the US. So America ma $100 ma kinne kunai protein Nepal आउँदाखेरि $300 पर्छ. Very expensive. Ani on top of that, because of lack of collaboration and lack of skilled manpower, I would say, it takes a lot of time to if you get some problem, there is no one to talk about. It's your own. You will figure it out, or talk to friends in other countries. That's the other problem. Ani agi चाहिँ let me tell something in Nepali also. agi चाहिँ हामी के भन्यौ भने हाम्रो चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो विद्यार्थीहरू छ, कति सरले चाहिँ छैन होला पनि भन्नुभयो सुरेश सरले. I think I agree with Suresh sir. Very few are very smart, talented, अनि धेरै जसो चाहिँ because of lack of good schools. मान्छे त आफैमा स्मार्ट भइहाल्छ, तर ट्रेनिङ राम्रो नभएपछि उनीहरूसँग चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिने स्किल चाहिँ छैन. फर इक्जाम्पल म चाहिँ कसैलाई जब दिन चाहन्छु, मलाई एउटा प्रब्लम सल्भ गर्न पर्छ भनेको मान्छे म पाउँदैन. अनि राम्रो मान्छे जति छ, फर इक्जाम्पल अन्डरग्रेड हामी एकदम स्मार्ट मान्छे पनि भेटाउँछौँ, तर त्यो बस्दैन यहाँ. तपाईँ 6 महिना ट्रेन गर्नुहुन्छ, 1 वर्ष गर्नुहुन्छ, बाहिर गइहाल्छ. अनि रिसर्च भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ यो 6 महिना 1 वर्षले नहुँदो रहेछ. सो द्याट इज अल्सो वान अफ द च्यालेन्जेस. थ्याङ्क यू.
So you also raised the point of brain drain. Isn't the brain drain is a brain gain? Well, that question goes to Ashimji. And what are we doing to solve these problems? And I think we are collaborating with government to solve all this, right, recently?
Yes.
So what is happening in that line? And I think our young crowd should know so that we can encourage them to do more in the country. Please.
So, as you mentioned, we've been collaborating, like 7 research organizations. We have been collaborating in terms of improving the STI policy, science, technology, and innovation technology, innovation policy in Nepal. So we want to actually, we actually want to, actually there is no policy, there is no science and technology policy in Nepal. For example, like if you go to Science and Technology, or Ministry of Science and Technology, and see their priority areas, the #1 priority area, can you guess what it is? It's, any guess? What is the #1 priority area of Nepal? Nepal
Okay,
government in
anybody?
Science and Technology. Any guess? Internet? Okay, I will tell you the answer. It is nuclear technology.
Wow.
So actually, this tells you where our policy makers are thinking. You know, what are they thinking about? So this is totally, havoc. So what we want to do is, like, from the private sector. So we 7 organizations, including NAMI, Futung, and KAIS. So we've been collaborating in order to work with the Nepal government to formulate suitable policy for Nepal. So what Nepal needs is more investment, better education, and anti-brain drain practices, policies, so that, for example, like if there is enough incentive for example, we 7 institutes, if there is even tax incentives or some little grant, we can actually hold at least 5 researchers, 5 PhDs in Nepal. Like 7 times 5 is 35, right? We are already holding like 3 PhDs in Futung. He probably holding 6 PhDs in KAIS. So if we have a bit more fun, we can actually hold more PhDs. So these are the things we want to discuss with the government. There is also like investment problem, education, and penetration to the public. So there is another issue that was raised in the previous discussion about penetration into the general livelihood. So the science and technology. So as you know, in Nepal we have Boxy and we have witchcraftry, and these are still even my mother believes in such ideas. For example, Jyotish Shastra, it's astrology and stuff. So I don't want to, if anybody believes in that, I don't want to offend you, but I personally don't, and I don't see any scientific reason for believing in astrology from the scientific point of view. So the research, the science and technology has to penetrate into the society. So this is, I think, this is the #1 priority. This should be the #1 priority of Nepal instead of nuclear technology. And the second, actually, priority area of Nepal, as per the current, policy, ranking, second is space technology. So it's just like you sit down, like on a table, and like, okay, let's dream, and then like write down things. So anyway, so basically facilitation for the private, research initiatives, facilitation like tax breaks. If we want to, let's say, import some scientific equipment, we have to pay about 25% tax. So that's like, we are already underfunded institutions. And apart from like the regular price we have to pay for the equipment, there is 25% like overhead on that. So that's something we want to like negotiate with the government and get something out of that. So yeah, these are the things that we actually are discussing with the government, me and Basant, and actually the whole team we've been discussing. And yeah.
And it is going positive, right?
Yeah, actually, there was a very interesting tweet by Basant. I don't want to name the official in the office we went. There was like science and technology department, and when we entered there, what he said was like, "के गर्न सकिया छैन, ये तातपानी खाइया छ, हिटर तापिया छ, बसिया छ, के गर्न सकिन." सर यो पोलिसी बनाउनु पर्न लाग्छ हामीले अगाडि नै लाइक we actually went to meet Minister of Science and Technology to really push to formulate these policies, and actually he pushed further to the bureaucrats to actually formulate the policy. And now he was just like thinking what to do, how to write the policy. He was actually somewhat pressurized to actually do it, and he really didn't have any idea. So what we said is, leave that to us. We'll give you a draft of the policy, and but this should remain inside this room, all right? I'm just telling you because, yeah, this should not go into the camera, right?
It's live. It's live in Kantipur television, so you are already done.
So he publicly tweeted that, actually. So the thing is, so we actually drafted a version of the policy. It doesn't have to be the same draft, of course, but we actually did the draft ourselves, and we sent it to them so that they can work on it. They can actually see what are the priority areas, if nuclear technology. So we also mentioned nuclear technology, but what is its purpose? It has to be very clear to themselves and to the people. Actually, it has to be discussed with the people. Actually, what is nuclear technology? The technology we really want to invest in, things like that. So actually, that is actually because they have no clue about how to proceed. Actually, we can really make a difference, and actually they will listen to us, just because they actually cannot come up with ideas.
Okay, good. So as it has started, I think it'll go to the positive direction, so there is hope, right?
Yeah.
So going back to Ansel and Ranjit ji, the question. So and going back to Ashim, so we tried to do the household survey, and there is no address by government. You cannot track the house. So we started GPS tagging each house, gave them number, so we can see all the houses in our computer. And each of our community health worker, one health worker goes to 20 houses, and they do the survey. And when they are inside the internet zone, it uploads in the center. So that's how we started. We never waited for the government, and later government came in, and now they want to have it to other places. How can a corporate sector like yours can help in this to go broader, because you guys are everywhere in the country now, and everybody holds your phone and everything, right? Please.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar. Thing is, like, Ansel, as a good corporate citizen, like, always believes in giving back to societies as well, other than like business as usual. Thing is, yes, we do believe in the business case. When it makes money, as a businessman, you should go there. But thing is now, previously you were seeing a lot of branding, promotion activities, festivals, like Ansel is sponsoring. And now the prioritism has been shifted. Now we are investing in people. We are investing in technology. Thing is, so those untouched part, unconnected regions of Nepal will be soon connected. The thing is, there should be a case, like how, a genuine case. What is the purpose to go there earlier than the business case? Thing is, now you already as a NAMI or like HAMS going to Assam.
Oh, sorry, it's not a HAMS, it's a possible different group.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you are already in innovation culture. Like you find the gap and then you fill in the gap. Ansel, in a similar way, think like building innovation culture in Nepal. With a possible collaboration, as my earlier speakers mentioned, like the right team is required here. The collaboration is required. We were working in silos. Now we need to team up. And that is the most important thing. So, like when we received a proposal from your side, we were very excited. Okay, this exactly, it falls in our one of the pillars of the innovation. And soon we decided, okay, let's do it without any further delays. There were no more questions. So thing is, I still believe the collaboration with the institution you're mentioning and Ansel can find the ways how to reach there.
Yeah, to that good note, right? So everybody wants to do something. Okay, so as a doctor, we say that we treat people so that at the end there will be no need of physicians. It's like we are hitting our own feet, but that's the end product supposedly. So I would like to request all of you the same to answer the same question and make it short, maybe 10 minutes each. So what is the solution to all the problems that you have mentioned? One problem, one solution. It may be different. Because we want to encourage them a lot.
Okay, there are several ways of doing this. I think
Right.
it's just you have to be pacing it right and prioritizing it right and be very patient in the process. But one of the ways, a bit different than my colleagues that I'm doing is, since I said I have a private institution that tries to focus on research as well, but something that can come out as product as well. So we have research projects where it's just out of curiosity, but also there are research projects that can be incubated into businesses. So I actually started doing research in Nepal only a year. It's been only a year. I came back to Nepal from the US 3 years ago. There was an example, I think Dr. Burathoki, he mentioned about Germany paying for 2 years to come back to your respective country. So interestingly, something like that happened to me coming back from the US. There was an earthquake. I wanted to come back to Nepal, and my husband also wanted to come back to Nepal for good. And I decided to quit my job as a research scientist, where I was growing pretty fast in a corporate ladder. When I made that decision, I had no idea what I was going to do. But fortunately, the CTO called me in his office and said, "Can you do something for us remotely from Nepal?" And he also proposed that I could even start a lab, one of their houses, corporate houses in Nepal, to do research in Nepal. I refused to do that, but I said that I could do part-time job from Nepal in one of your international offices, and I chose Singapore because there was a direct flight, 4 hours flight from Nepal to Singapore. I could go often there, and I knew the team there already working from the US, so I decided to do that. So why I'm saying this is it gave me 2 years cushion to just ask questions, talk to people, not start anything, just ask questions, watch, and be frustrated at times, and to sort of accommodate myself to the new normal, right? So through that, what I understood is just being affiliated to one public institution or private institution alone is not going to solve the problem. You have to be able to work with the government and the private sector. And that was one of the things that I did was try to be an academician, start your own enterprise. And through my enterprise, I recently have incubated one project that is coming out as so I'm starting medicinal plant-based skincare line, which might start very simple, but there are a few patentable stuff that I have done that is going to come out as a skincare line. So that's one simple example of how research can be applicable. And in that process, there's a lot of aspect of social science, looking at the grassroots. How is it going to feedback to the grassroots? How is it going to be sustainable? Who is your market? How are you going to bring the funds? And the reason I started this is because I saw that I could get back some resource, a financial resource, which is very important for research, and feed back into my own institution to do more research. So Harveda Botanicals is a subsidiary company of Catalyst Technology, which is going to be launched soon. And it's registered already, and some of the projects are already made. And that's going to feed back to Catalyst Technology to do research. So a lot of percentage of that profit is going to go back. It's a for-profit company, but it has this almost like a not-for-profit model where it is going to feed back to the sciences. So I think a lot of businesses, private sectors, have to start doing that and not look for short-term goals, but long-term goals, and then only we can do something. Otherwise, I don't see doing small projects and then bringing in fund, and then once the fund dies, the students go away, and then you have to reinvent the wheels again and again. And another thing, they're already saying that there is this collaborative effort, so if one project is going to die, another institution probably could support. So that's it.
One challenge and one solution.
I will take it as a forward-looking. We are starting Innovation Center where we'll have enough fund for the youth and the students to come up with ideas and to work on them. It might, like some might be a startup and some might be a scale-ups. The startup just like an idea with a potential of monetization. And for the scale-ups, they will already have a business case. So I do agree with Dr. Prativa on like the lack of funding that is in Nepal. So thing is, we are developing a framework for innovation fund with the parties that is in the ecosystem. So once this is in the field, so this will be the access to the students and then to the youth of the Nepal. So like for the startup, they might not be, the ROI might not be 3 months. It can be long term and a sustainable. They will work there. It will have a like co-worker space, makers space, like a platform where we have a business consulting firms as well there. So a corporate entity separately in the innovation center will be there so that it can reach to the objective of the product. Like we see any ideas that is coming up from Kathmandu is like, is targeting on a high level. The idea that comes from the village, like from the Ashim village, it will be life-touching product or services, an idea. So thing is, we are like through the innovation, we are expanding our wings. Like this year we did MIT Global Startup Lab program with Karna University. This next year, we are thinking to expand with other universities and open to all, so that the applications, product and services that is coming up will be touching those lives of people, that is economies of scale, like there is low income community, and then it can be scalable to the global picture where the low income countries are there. So I think, I believe in execution and the collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjit. So Ashimji, what is the challenge that you have been facing in your Futung and how you are overcoming it?
Okay.
One.
Yeah, one. So the biggest challenge I'm facing is lack of manpower, actually. So I have position for 2 postdocs, and I'm giving a very handsome salary, like 2.5K lakhs per month after tax.
Guys, you hear that?
Yeah, but the problem is one of my vacant position is still not filled for already 8 months. So I'm looking for a person to come back, or like any person.
You
like
can announce your phone number now.
Yeah, but you need to have a PhD. So that's the condition. So if you have a PhD, and if you are like, you have some strong mathematical background, or if you can understand like a bit of engineering, you're welcome to like apply, and we'll discuss this further.
So you have any solution to that?
So I have no solution for that. So this is a big problem. So the solution, I think, so we discussed about this problem in our AGM, and then the only solution to we are giving a good salary. What we are doing is actually very good project. So we are developing a photonic technology that can be used in all villages of Nepal, actually to diagnose COPD. COPD is a lung disease. It is the #1 killer in Nepal and India and developing countries, and it is projected to be like 180%, WHO has projected the COPD cases to increase by 180% in next 10 years. So it's a big challenge we want to solve, and we want to solve using a very high-tech, like photonics technology. So whatever we are doing is a good research, and it's with the collaboration with Harvard University, with University of Manchester. So we have a top the leaders of the field working in our project. So, but still we don't get any people. We get applications, we discuss this further, and then he was saying, I discussed this with my wife, but she doesn't want to move back to Nepal. You know, things like that. So like I've already had this sort of case already for like 5 or 6 such cases. So this is a big problem. So already for 8 months I have already lost the money that I could spend on a brand, but I don't have, like I couldn't get that brand. So so when we discussed this in our AGM, how can we solve this problem? So the solution was to outreach, to reach it further, to go into media, to go into public media, to showcase our research further, you know, things like that. There would be, because for example, like myself and like already like herself and Basant, we came back without salary, basically. We came, so we worked, I think we are still working without salary. Actually, I'm not getting that much salary, by the way. That's because I'm not involved, I'm involved with only 5% in that project. So I get 5% of that, right? So anybody who gets 100%, he gets the full salary. I work 5%, so I get only 5%. As a manager of the project, so I only get very small, because I do other projects as well. So, so we are still working without salary. So we worked already for 2.5 years without salary. So we are just like a couple of examples. There are guys out there who are willing to come back, try to do something, you know, try to contribute to the society. So we want to reach out to those people. So we want to go into media to do like, initially our policy in our Footing Research Institute was to lay back, you know, to not go into media, to, you know, keep a low profile, to do some job, to show it to the people, and then get the limelight. Because unless you have something to show, there is no point going into the media. But now our policy is to actually go into the media, to show, you know, we are doing a fantastic job, we are awesome people, we're doing awesome stuff, we have awesome people like come to us. You know, that's our approach to it. So I think, you know, that's all, like we discussed quite a lot about this, and that's all we have actually right now. So we have money, we have good project, we have good partners, but still people don't want to come back. And why? Because maybe we are not reaching out to the people who really want to come back. So I think that, yeah. So we want to outreach.
Sorry, I just want to add, clarify that what he said, the salary is actually, the postdoc salary he mentioned would be around the same level in Europe or elsewhere. So it's like you earn the same money, but the living cost is much cheaper, right? So, and still it's hard to get people.
Yeah. So you basically, I spend 5,000 or 10,000 rupees a month myself, like for my whatever I do. But the rest would be my saving, you know, if I would have gotten that salary. So, but still, people, we don't get this salary. Yeah.
So I think if we make ecosystem better together with the government, the more people will come back, right? So you will not have a hard time finding the brains.
So yeah, so there are actually several aspects of this. So one of the aspect is people don't want to come back because there is because of the quality of life. For example, if somebody moving like living in the US or in the Europe, so they have like good public bus, less pollution, less dust, you know, good schools.
No, not exactly. Prativa is here, and I'm back also from there, and a lot of people are back from. So that's not, I think, only the issue. There are a lot of other things, right?
I think that's one of the major issue.
Okay.
Well, that's my personal point of view. So people don't want to come back because they.
And I think, you know, we cannot change that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we should talk about only that ecosystem which we can change, and we can really influence the government. We cannot clean the road, right?
So in terms of government, I think if government, let's say, it's a very broad, complicated problem. So I just want to mention that let's say if government invests in, let's say, on national level laboratory,
right?
You know, let's say, So we want to like
It is
invest.
recast and NAST and all that, right?
I mean, these are like the investment are peanuts. So the reason why they cannot function,
There is, by the way, there is no investment in recast and NAST.
yeah, from the government level.
Okay.
Probably there is. No. So for the research, let me just get clear. For research, so they actually, what they call NAST is setohati. So it's a white elephant. It eats up 80% of the budget for the administration. So basically, so what I want to really say about the, like coming to the, let's say if our government announces, let's say we're gonna invest like, okay, 1 billion rupees in science and technology sector, apply, like come back, we're gonna like give you a handsome salary, like not 2 lakhs, maybe like 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs. Come back and like we're gonna give you money to set up your labs and stuff, and like we're gonna invest 1 billion rupees. There's gonna be huge surge of people coming back, I think, if that would be the case.
Okay, thank you. So I will change the question a little bit to you, Basant. So I think we have NRA. Can we include recast, NAST, and whatever government has everybody in the same group and work together maybe?
No.
Reason and any solution to that?
It's not possible to change NAST and recast. They will just move away slowly, but I don't think in like next 5 or 10 years we'll see any change. So that's why we started new institutions. We are trying to build new institutions. Let me add a couple of things on what Ashim says. So there are 2 things that needs to be changed to get highly skilled postdocs in Nepal. First of all, Nepal आफैमा राम्रो हुनुपर्छ in every sector. बस्नको लागि. We see that moving away from Nepal is our history, and it's human nature that people migrate to better places to live in. अब प्रतिभाजी फर्किनु भयो, म फर्केँ, असीम फर्क्यो, अरू थुप्रो साथीहरू फर्किनु भएको छ, but they are individual choices. It's not because of the government policies or anything.
But I think the life will be changed by the technology.
Is the government should must make good policies so that these things are going better. The other point is, so he is offering postdoc for 2 years. Then what's next for the person who comes back for that job? By the way, I'm also looking for postdoc.
How many and what's your salary?
Who has PhD in maybe biotechnology, maybe analytical chemistry, or maybe related fields?
I have a clarifying question. Are you looking for a postdoc? Oh, yeah. Here. So does that person have to be Nepali or anyone in the world? And also, when you're talking about coming back, you make it sound like, okay, come work here for 2 years and then plan on staying here. But there might be multiple opportunities after doing postdoc with you in Nepal, in Asia, or somewhere else. So can we reframe this context and think about it in that ways?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, so there are 2 aspects of your question. One is like, do we really need a Nepali, right? So actually, we got a couple of applications from India. Actually, one of my friends in India, and a friend in China. So they were really interested to come in, and do the work. And the problem is with our labor law. So it's very complicated. We need to have a special, clearance from the labor department. So we have to prove that there are no Nepali guy actually having these qualifications. And actually, unfortunately, we did receive a couple of applications from Nepal, from Nepali, like Nepali applications working in Nepal. Actually, we both received and we shared the CV, and we both said, okay, no, not this guy. No, we are looking for certain qualities, research. So we want somebody who can actually do research, right? So that's one aspect. So the labor law, and the other thing is actually we want to promote. We want to bring back Nepalese scientists back to Nepal. That would be awesome because they really understand. When they would come, they would really come to contribute. Let's say a friend of mine who is Chinese, who is Indian, they also applied because they want to contribute. of course, right? Contribute to development, but they would not actually do that for a long time. Like they would not, probably they would want to come here, like, okay, see how Nepal is, how research comes from, like giving a little break, and then like if there is a bit of a problem, they would go back. So we want somebody, for example, I have one postdoc actually, out of 2 bucks, I have one postdoc. He's a Yale PhD, like he's a very smart guy, and he came back just for the project to contribute. So we want this sort of people actually, this kind of guy. Actually, it's not all like bad, sad story. We have a very nice PhD. So the other aspect is, so what after 2 years, right? So the project I'm working on is a very collaborative project. It's a health project. We are developing technology, and we are fabricating. We have chemists. We have like a big. We have doctors. We have So it's a big interdisciplinary team, and we are an international team as well. So if some ex guy comes to our like in our institute and does the research, he would get a better opportunity after he finishes. Let's say if he doesn't get any opportunity in Nepal, he can always get a better, like he could be easily hired by Harvard. With the same professor who is working with us, he can hire this guy. So it's not a, like, what's next is not the problem as far as I see it. And yeah.
It just sounds like a very good opportunity to build an ecosystem of researcher, of course in Nepal, but also maybe globally.
That's true. That's true, and actually one of our suggestions to the government was like recently when we made the policy and stuff. So one of our suggestions was to actually make such like online database where anybody could like look for, let's say if she is looking somebody for organic chemistry side and some equipment, she could actually look into the database and actually find in the database and find the right person, and with the emails and stuff, so she could contact and to build that database and to build that ecosystem.
I would just like to add, I mean, we don't need government to build that database. I think if we just contribute 5 minutes, like 50 or 60 people, we would already have a huge database. I think I mentioned avinavnepal.com, which already has 100, 200 scholars in that, and it's very, very simple to add. Within 2 minutes, you can add any scholar from any field, from anywhere around the world. Anyone you can add yourself if you are not there, right? And I think these are, like Wikipedia, how did it grow? I mean, people just added knowledge on and on. And here, it's like literally less than 2 minutes to add someone, avinavnepal.com. So I think we don't need to wait for government to do that. We can just do on our own.
Okay, Suresh sir. Suresh sir has a question.
Maybe I would like to just add on, because I forgot to mention one important thing. So if somebody comes back to Nepal and he wants to contribute to Nepal, and he is working as a postdoc in Futung or like guys or
He or she.
He or she. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
Don't forget that.
All right. So if he comes back, so he or she comes back. Yeah. Of course, it's just like the language, of course,
That's fine. Yeah, we are just judging.
So if he or she comes back, what he would have? Let's keep it as he, okay? He would have an opportunity to write more proposals. So I actually, whenever I do the interview, I say, so when you come back, it's not only like you do work for me. You will be a part of this institute, and you will want to push this further. You will write the research grant. So I got this grant because I wrote the research grant. So you can do that, and I will actually push you. I will train you to write the proper proposal.
Exactly, and that helps the ecosystem, right? Suresh sir.
Yeah. So I was thinking that instead of focusing on the negatives, can we tap into the collective experience of young research institutions in Nepal which have been surviving, and can we create a kind of like a survival book, a book that all new researchers and new research institutions could follow, that takes advantage of your shared experiences we have.
Okay, I think
You have 2 minutes, Basant, please. Okay.
So you have been doing research here in Nepal like since a couple of years, right? So when you started, research itself is a very new thing for us. So when you started setting up this institute, you might have done so many things from the scratch, right? So coming back from there to here now, so what are the things that really changed? And then the changes that you have seen, like, or I mean to say, like, what are the hurdles that you faced in the beginning? Now, I mean, if somebody wants to set up similar institute or do something similar, what he or she will not have to face the hurdles. And then seeing this progress, can you, I mean, in the next 5 years, what do you think? I mean, how the ecosystem of research will be in Nepal?
Okay, please, hurdles and the positive part of it.
Okay, thank you. The hurdles are same in terms of the procedures you have to go through. And let me give you example from our institution. Kathmandu Institute of Applied Sciences is a multidisciplinary, research focused, but we also do outreach and other activities as well. We train young students and maybe junior researchers. So our idea to establish multidisciplinary instead of just focusing on one area was that, if, for example, I cannot bring research funds, maybe my colleague can bring from his area so that we can sustain, the institution can sustain for long run. We also do trainings, and then that also contributes to the sustainability of the institution. We just registered a new company, so when I develop a new product, that new company will so based on our research, the new company will produce new products and maybe make some money and contribute back, as Prativa said before. I think this is what we have been doing to run the research projects. As I said before, there is no government research funding in Nepal, so we have to rely on the international research funding opportunities. And then sometimes, being a least developed country is a good thing. There are a couple of research grants that are particularly given to the developing countries. And then there are other research grants we can freely compete, and we have actually achieved those grants. Those are the good things, and then let's not talk about bad things, right?
Right, good. Thank you, everybody. I have a last question or comments to Prativa. Can you give few points that you have come across being a female scientist? It's a he/she question.
Yeah, sure.
And we have quite a few ladies here, and I see they are growing. It's coming up. So I think you should really tell them how it should be going.
Thank you very much for the question. This is something that I think about a lot myself since I've been coming back. Making a decision to come back to Nepal as a man versus as a woman. My husband has also come back. First thing, I think whether you're a man or woman, if you're married, then you have to have that sort of synchronization with your partner to make sure that you can come back and sustain and be okay with the kind of challenges that you face here. Now coming to women, taking the same decision of coming back, it's not only about career or coming back to your parents at that point. Especially if you leave the country like I did when I was 16, 17, or 18, and then coming back after 11 years, right? It's very different. You have to think about the social constraints of coming back and working as aggressively as a woman, asking as many critical questions as men do, right? And making interventions like men. You cannot do that immediately. So that was one of the biggest challenges for me, and I did not give in. I still see a lot of those things very in front of me, but I've learned to tackle with those over time. So taking that time of 2 years, coming back, working for the company, that a US-based company, going back and forth to Singapore for every 2 weeks was like a sanctuary for me in the beginning, so that I could come in on the playground, play here, be very frustrated, go outside, look from the balcony and see what happened. So I think that gave me this opportunity to learn how to tackle with different problems. Working with the government as a woman is not easy as well. I've done projects, research projects for the government as a lead researcher, and there are challenges like one thing as a young woman. This woman who looks very young and then goes and talks to these higher officials, there's this nani, boini, right? So it's okay if you're trying to be friendly, but there is this hidden implication that they're trying to sort of say, I have more authority than you. So in the beginning that happens, but if you're persistent enough with your work, I think that can be tackled. There is this thing, there is a lot of people that ask for bribe, especially coming back from the US. They think you have a lot of money and you're getting paid a lot, which you're not, actually. You actually have very low pay and you don't even get paid. You're surviving on your savings. So there is a lot of people who try to push you, especially as a woman, to give them money or other sort of things. So that's another challenge that I face. And recently that happened, and I was very persistent about not giving a penny. And I said, I'll deliver what I promised in my TOR. I'm not going to give a penny. And that person even said, I'll have to come to your institution to teach people in your institution the ways how to work with the government. Right? So he was indirectly saying that without bribing, you cannot work.
The wrong ways. Huh?
And one of the implications of that is probably he's not going to give me more work, and that's fine, because there are other ways of going around it, right? So fortunately, I still got more work from them because I had networked with people in the value chain at different levels, I would say. So I actually I tackled with the problem, and then the person was not in problem, but he understood that he cannot do that again. So you have to be very firm as a woman. So having said all of that, I think there are a lot of benefits of being one among the very few women. Because if you see, there are other researchers who have come back to Nepal, but I have been featured on newspapers and magazines too many times. There are other researchers, men researchers, who are doing maybe more work than me and who came back way before than me. So that sort of publicity also gives you that ecosystem or environment where other people are trying to help you. And fortunately, from the government also, they have asked me to be in different committees. One of the committees is intellectual property. We talked about not having patent policy and all. Having a patent owner of 4 patents, they said, and being in the research area, they said you could be in the committee and try to push the policy. So I have been in that committee also. It may not be too effective, but they do take feedbacks. They do take feedback. So that's another thing. So I have had very good experiences as being only woman as well. And another last thing recently that happened while registering my company was one of the leading law firm. They gave me more than 80% discount in all their legal advices. Because one of the women who was in the executive position said, when you as a woman is trying to come back to Nepal and try to do something in the Nepali ecosystem, I feel like as a woman, I am also registering a company and I'm also doing something. So there are good people like that also. And I see more opportunities than challenges here. I do see that. There are times that is frustrating, but even while I was doing research in the university in the United States where everything was available, if you order something overnight, you'd get that. And there were challenges there too, and there were frustrations there too. I sometimes felt like I should just quit. There are times like that, but I think if you anchor onto why you're doing something and anchor your identity to that, then it will be much more clear why you're doing something. What does it mean to the country or to science? And I think it'll be much more clear and you can sustain the momentum. I think that's all for me.
Good, thank you. So we'll now take the questions from the students. So everything is getting better, ecosystem is getting better. The time is good for the women's also, right? So everything is good. Now you have any questions on that?
मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ रञ्जित सरलाई अघि डक्टर बासले भन्नुभयो जस्तै पोसिबलले जुन काम गरिरहेछ त्यसमा चाहिँ आउनुहोस् कुरा गरौँ भन्नुभयो, तर त्यसरी कम्युनिटी लेभलमा मटर्नल एन्ड चाइल्ड हेल्थमा त्यस पछाडि न्युट्रिसनमा त्यसरी काम गर्ने धेरै संस्थाहरू छन् जसले चाहिँ मोबाइल हेल्थ प्लेटफर्म युज गरेर डेटा सिङ्क गर्नुहुन्छ र नेपालको नेसनल यो इन्डिकेटर हेल्थ इन्डिकेटरमा चाहिँ कन्टिन्युसली डेटा पुस गरिरहनुपर्छ। तर त्यसको च्यालेन्ज चाहिँ फर्स्ट च्यालेन्ज चाहिँ के छ हामीले पनि फेस गरेको प्लस अरू पनि अर्गनाइजेसनहरू जसले चाहिँ मोबाइल हेल्थ युज गर्नुहुन्छ, च्यालेन्ज चाहिँ के भन्दा कनेक्टिभिटी हो। कनेक्टिभिटीमा धेरै स्पेन्ड हुन्छ, प्लस कनेक्टिभिटीको अब कुनै ठाउँमा त 3G पनि चल्ला 4G पनि चल्ला, तर त्यस्तो गाउँहरू छ जहाँ चाहिँ सिग्नल नभएको ठाउँहरू पनि छ, त्यो हामीले फेस गरेका छौँ, जुन अछाममा दोलखामा हामीले फेस गरेका छौँ होइन। त्यस्तोमा चाहिँ एज अ होल कन्ट्री वाइज चाहिँ त्यसरी इन्डिभिजुअल कुनै अर्गनाइजेसनले रिच आउट हुनुभन्दा पनि वाइ नट एनसेलले आफैले ल हामी चाहिँ यस्तो खालको स्किम छ जसले चाहिँ मटर्नल एन्ड चाइल्ड हेल्थको लागि अथवा न्युट्रिसन प्रोग्रामको लागि चाहिँ हुने प्लेटफर्महरूको लागि चाहिँ हामी यसरी अनाउन्स गर्छौँ भनेर वाइ नट पब्लिकली गर्ने, सो द्याट सबैले एकैचोटि बेनिफिट चाहिँ लिन सकुन् भन्ने त्यो चाहिँ।
Let me summarize and translate the question for those who understand Nepal. So they use mobile health in the rural communities, but the issue is the connectivity. So he's asking Ncell how they are planning to help on that line.
Indeed, this is a very good question for Ncell. Like earlier I said, like to be a good corporate citizen, it is a citizen as well. It has also responsibility to reach to the people. Very soon, like you will see like APIs to be open for the developers. Thing is, developer can reach to 16 million of people. Ncell has already infrastructures. Those remote destinations where the connectivity is limited. Thing is, yes, this is a challenge for now, but future like 2019 and 20, we are very much aligned with Digital 2020. I think this will, those unconnected part will not be unconnected by that time. But yes, we have to wait. We cannot guarantee like over the night there will be connectivity now.
सिङ्क गर्नको लागि गभर्नमेन्ट लेभलको सर्भरमा सिङ्क गर्नलाई भने त्यो पोइन्टमा चाहिँ किन हिट नगर्ने बियोन्ड द बिजनेस अनाउन्स नै गर्ने पब्लिकली इट्स नट अबाउट द एपीआई
Exactly like
you mean most of the money is spent in connectivity, right? Yeah, so how can we tackle that?
Thing is like there are funds in government side, that is RTDF fund, that rural telecommunication development fund. Thing is Ncell and other corporates, they are contributing to that fund. But yeah, that fund is already there and that is not utilized. We are advocating the government to use that fund in these cases, CSR, like these cases. Like, nevertheless, we are also doing CSR. Previously, you were seeing like CSR is like building a house, like schools. But now the CSR is in that line as well. So these digital services like mobile health, mobile agriculture, these falls under our pillars as well. So like I cannot guarantee now like in this forum, but yes, we do have some plans.
I think we take this offline. You can discuss with that. One last question, because we're running really out of time. A female candidate. Yeah. One last question.
Yeah, please.
Female candidate. We talked about
question can be to female
science,
or
right?
male, anybody.
Yeah.
Please.
Anyone? Come on. No question?
Okay, can I ask to Prativa? So do you practice gender equality in your company?
In my company?
And the same question goes to all. Yes, no, please. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, but I think we're leaning more towards women than men at
Okay.
this point. So I would say
Ncell.
equity than equality.
Ncell, please.
Yes, we do believe in talents.
You have equality.
Yeah.
Put on.
Well, we are neutral to gender, so we don't care about whatever gender somebody is. We are gender neutral. Like we don't.
Okay, let me put a question.
We
This
are
is-
blind
So
to-
how many of you are female in your group?
So we are two. Like one of the what is it? One of the our executive is a woman. Is a
Okay.
girl. And then like as a scientist we have one girl, and we had actually two, and then one left. You know.
Okay, good.
heart problems.
Yes, please.
So we are 6 full-time PhD scientists and about 15 research interns or assistants. Out of those 6 PhD scientists, 2 are women and 4 are men. And then I think in terms of research assistants, they are kind of equal. So
Good.
sometimes it's hard to get female researchers, especially in our field.
But you know that is already better. Yeah.
But
I'm
our
very happy
policy
with that.
is, you know, we do not say we need to, we want more female, but quality is important, plus it's same case for men and women.
So my
If
question is just to encourage the females here, you know. So you guys exactly, and okay. good.
Like, we do practice ICT in, like, girls in ICT. Like, the girls in ICT field. The thing is, yes, we do promote through like CSR programs, like the women would come to work in ICT field as well. But thing is, more the men they turn out in the recruitment process, in the applications. We like, it's not like we need to hire like the female, but yes, there are some areas where females are mandatory. The thing is, when we focus more on talents, we don't see like boys or girl. We see the talent.
Okay, good. Thank you. So everything is getting better. The ecosystem is doing good. So I think there is a good future in front of us, right? So good. In that note, so we'll end this discussion, and then thank you all.
Well, yeah, just
What's that? Yeah, sure, please. One line, please, because we are out of
the
time.
ending note from
Ending
the
note, yeah.
speakers, please.
First of all, thank you. I think one of the things that I wanted to say throughout that I saw in the previous panel discussion is also that whenever we make decision, especially as a Nepali, we're trained to focus so much on form than function. We look at the size of the building. We look at what kinds of instruments we have. And when we do research and things, and the kind of institution we're trying to go to, rather than why we're doing that, why we're studying something. So I think it's important to understand the function of why you're doing something. Whenever you make any decision, then any decision would be easier. And having said that, we talked a lot about not having a research infrastructure in Nepal or instruments in Nepal. There are quite a few labs that have amazing instruments, like Ayurvedic Anusandhan Kendra. They have so many instruments. In fact, like it doesn't even fit in their lab. So they have, it's in TU, Kirtipur. They have a lot of instruments in the storeroom. So it's because they function so much on form. Someone, like Chinese government, made a building and infrastructure for them, but we don't have functioning labs. So that's another thing that we should focus on as well. Thank you.
Like, to end this session from my side, like New Year greetings to you all. Please come and collaborate together. Like we as NCL, we need the youth of Nepal, and then the talents. Let's nurture the talents collaboratively.
Thank you, please.
In my case, I would like to end with a positive note. Like, I thought I would have like a chance to say something on his question about positive, leaving some like positive note. So, like coming back to our alliance, we have 7 alliances there. So out of 7, all the 7 institutes, we started with 0 funding, almost 0, I would say, right? But myself, like our footing itself started with 0 funding. So we built on, and now we are like almost a crore, like all of us, So we built on with 0 funding, but we worked hard, and we made it possible. So we have equipments, we have something. So it's not impossible job. So it's possible The only thing is you need a strong determination. You need to constantly fight for it. There are a lot of struggles. So that's positive message I want to leave with.
Thank you. Basant.
Thank you for this opportunity. Definitely, if you compare 5 years back and now, there is growing research culture. You know, people are talking, students even in undergrad are talking about research work. It's the research mass is going up. And then what we have done is very small level, small scale, individual level. And if we want to, see in national level and impact on everyone's life, then definitely I think we need to agree that the government should or must bring a right policy. And then it's a right time to recommend our government, because the government is revising its science and technology policy under the Education, Science and Technology Ministry. And also Nepal is drafting a 15 5-year plan. And they are, asking us, why don't you give some recommendations in the field of science and technology? So maybe we can contribute on that, and let's hope that the government brings, a right policy, and then everyone, whoever is interested can work in Nepal and then produce, good products and do a lot of good things here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.